Hello from Texas. Howdy, as we like to say, howdy from Texas. So it's my privilege to demonstrate to you this product that we're very excited for. This is the Jasperactive Adobe Create, and our first course. Some might call it an application, but our first course to launch is Photoshop. So I'm excited to demonstrate to you how this product works. Just some of the framework or groundwork, if you will, just to make sure that we're all clear. This is, as you're seeing on my screen, I hope, this is live in the application. Okay, so to follow up the kinesthetic, hands-on, learn by doing component that Raul spoke of, you're going to do your student learners, adult learners, whoever they may be, are going to learn not only hands-on, but within the product. This is not going to be a student sitting at a screen and just watching videos and hoping they learn, right? This is hands-on, kinesthetic, in the application learning. So one of the things, and by the way, I'm a certified teacher in Texas. I come from the classroom. And one of the things that's very critical, at least for me, when I was in the classroom, that does not apply to all educators or instructors or professors, and that is the self-paced component, the way this was designed. So you're seeing our pathway, the learning pathway here visibly on the screen. So students will begin with a benchmark assessment. So we need to find out what they know, and maybe more importantly, what they do not know, so that we can prepare, ready for this term, an individualized learning pathway or a plan for that particular student learner. And this software has that technology programmatically built in. What do I mean by that? That means that when someone logs into this and they take a benchmark assessment and score whatever they score, right? I think you'd all agree that they're probably not going to do so well initially. It's not unusual even. At least in my class, it wasn't unusual that we'd have students that scored. Honestly, I had some score 0%, 6%, 8%, 12%. Not too bad, actually. And every once in a while, I'd sneak a student in there that was scoring in the 40+%, even at the benchmark pre-learning level. Then you go into the lessons right here, and each lesson begins with a quiz. That too is part of the prescriptive learning pathway. And so between the benchmark assessment result, which is an immediate result, and the quiz result, pre-lesson, pre-learning quiz result, our software takes those results and we build an individualized prescriptive learning pathway for that student learner. So here's what I mean. You see here lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If a learner takes the benchmark and they do pretty well on it, and then they take lesson 1 quiz and they do pretty well on it, it's possible, folks, that lesson 1 will not even appear on their screen. They have tested out of it, right? So that is per student. It's possible that you might have a lab that your learners come into, and this student on the left and this student on the right have different criteria appearing on their screen, different lesson exercises appearing on their screen. And that is because our software builds a learning plan that's individualized for the student. So let that soak in. I think you get kind of what I'm describing and everything, and I just wanted to touch on that. But also, if you choose as the instructor, as the educator, as the person that's facilitating learning in this system, if you choose, you can essentially lay the groundwork for your students and tell them to get started with the benchmark and then go into the lessons and follow the flow, and they can be self-paced. Now, why is that important? Because this is not just a software that's only for schools. This application took into consideration, and it was designed and developed possibly for a workforce development agency, possibly for individual adult learners who are having trouble getting hired and they need to advance their skills, so they have individually possibly purchased the application. We've even had Organizations, nonprofit organizations come to us who are helping folks who are transitioning back into the workforce. One example might be coming out of prison, and they have gone to that nonprofit to advance their skills, and they've come in and they need this application. So you kind of see where we have tried to take into consideration all various types of learning students at various levels of their skills. And of course, we also have a great array of universities and professors. So post high school student learners coming in here and using the application as well. So we've talked about it's live in the application. We've talked about the fact that it's self-paced and it's kinesthetic learning and those kind of things. The one thing I haven't mentioned yet is, let me just share with you, I am using a Windows-based machine at the moment, but because this is Adobe specific, because this is live in the application, which means you will have Adobe installed on your machine locally, this will run on both a Windows or a Mac. Okay, so keep that in mind. This is a multi-platform product, and that's going to be a wonderful thing. We've talked about the various learning styles and so forth, the prescriptive learning pathway, and so kind of let me kind of transition and show you some of these things here and how it works. Notice also, as you see here, if you're at all even a little bit familiar with the exam itself, then you will understand that we have used in our curriculum all the items necessary. We've applied them that is consistent with the objectives and domains of the certification exam. So what that simply means is a student learner can use our application. You will facilitate their learning. They will go through the curriculum, and we will prepare them to pass a certification exam. Okay, all of the objectives and domains necessary to achieve that result are within the curriculum. So I wanted to touch on that. So the student learner will come in and log in. And by the way, once Adobe is installed on your machine, and once you get this is called an Adobe extension. So kind of think like a Google Chrome browser and you do extensions. This is an Adobe extension. That's how it runs. That's why it's appearing as it is here. And it's as simple as just going down here to Window Extensions, and I have Adobe, or excuse me, Jasperactive, and then it launches the Jasperactive application. So I, the student, have already logged in with my user account. At this point in time, if we do have any educators or teachers that are on the session today, then you will have already built out in our Jasperactive system that we'll look at later, the class groups, and that would give you a code, if you will, per class or grouping of students, and you will have distributed those codes out to those student learners. And then when they create their user account and they get the let's get started option, they click that, and our system will prompt them for a code. Once they put that code into that field and select to continue, then this is what appears right here. So you have that capability of setting up your classes, of grouping your students, and all those things. So a student's going to come in and they're going to take the benchmark assessment. Now, Keith German has already taken his benchmark assessment. We only have so much time today. I just kind of wanted to show you, and I'm very humble, can you tell? So I scored a 0 of 12. Hey, everybody's celebrating. Once the student, as you see here, a student gets an immediate feedback. I don't think I've actually said it out loud, but I want to be very clear. Our software does the grading for you. All educators just raise both of their hands in celebration. You're not going to have to go home and sit on the carpet on the evenings and the weekends and do all this grading. Our software takes care of that for you. In addition, the student can always come back later if they need to. Maybe there's some remediation that's necessary and they want to touch on certain elements. They can always come in here and click View Result, and then our software will show them what they got right and what they got wrong. The other piece that's here, and if you will, entertain me, and let's assume that the first 5 here are green check marks. They did it right. But if you would, let's assume that a just layer group has a red X, okay? And the rest have check marks. Well, it looks like they need to focus a little bit on learning the adjust and layer group a little more. So we have built into our application an ebook. It's built into the application. It's available to them at various points. It is not available to them, I think, obviously, during assessments. And you saw on the screen, we have a benchmark and we have a summary assessment. So it's not available to them during the assessment, but after the assessment or during learning at any point in time, they may see this book icon. And when they click it, our software opens up our ebook, and it is also context sensitive. So we will take them specifically to the section in the book that they need to know for wherever they clicked. Okay, so they won't have to go hunting for that. And outside of those book icons, they can just simply go to the ebook option on the main menu, and they can click the ebook option, and then they get the entire book available to them, and they can click anything they want and drill down to the book. Okay, and as you can see here, our software will take them where they need to. Okay, so I wanted to touch on that. The other piece that I wanted to touch on here is that the lessons, I hinted to this earlier. I'm going to go down to lesson 4 because I've already done some things in 1 through 3. And I'm going to click start, and look what we start with. They do not just get pushed right into learning curriculum. They first have to assess further for this lesson component, this domain. They've got to quiz on this, and then we will decide how many of the exercises to portray to them based on their benchmark and their quiz. So visually, this is what it looks like, and we give them a quiz to start with. When they go to lessons and they pick a lesson, then they begin their learning. So I call this, as a teacher terminology, I think many of you will understand this, this is guided instructional learning. We guide them. We teach them. We tell them exactly what to do. They're not in an assessment at this point in time. They're now learning the product. So we break everything out by course or application. So that's Photoshop. Then within Photoshop, you have various lessons. Those are the objectives and domains they need to learn. Then within each lesson, they have exercises. Okay, and that could vary. The number of exercises may vary per lesson. And then within each exercise, they have tasks or steps that they have to complete. So maybe question 1 of 1 or question 1 of 3, and then 2 of 3, and then 3 of 3. So they may have one or multiple tasks or steps to complete. All right, so let me kind of show you one right here. If I come in here, one thing I wanted to show you for the visual things that Raul was talking about is here I can tell as both a student and a teacher that this student has done these 2 exercises, and these green dots mean to me that not only did they do them, but they got them correctly. So they have made 25% progress on this lesson. Okay, so they get the visual indicators. Now, I know that I did an exercise earlier, and I come in here and I'm scrolling down. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. That's not a green dot. Okay, so this student has made 3% progress on lesson 3, but what does this mean? Well, this means that exercise 8 actually has multiple tasks to complete. So if I hit start right now, notice right there, I have question 1 of 2, not 1 of 1. So there's multiple tasks. I will tell you, just for purposes of the demonstration today, that I did that. I got 1 of 1 correct, but I missed 2 of 2. So I've done about 50% of this exercise, and therefore I don't have my green dot yet. So visual indicators all throughout the lesson. Now, if I come in here and I start with lesson 1, and let's take a peek at exercise 5. Okay. And I come in here, of course, like any good teacher, we always start with an objective statement, and we hit start. Now, notice the ebook is available. This one has only question of 1 of 1. I will tell you, for those of you who are educators and you want to hear this or something, we have broken the learning content into small chunks for consumption purposes, and for some, usually in the school arena, for some folks, they want small chunks because their class periods are only so many minutes long, and they don't want a student to get into this multi-layered exercise and get 2 of 12 items done, and all of a sudden they got to leave. So we intentionally Plus, the other thing is, honestly, students, especially students today, they learn in small chunks. They learn best. Most do. Okay, so this tells me to select the type tool. It even gives me the visual indicator that Raul talked about. So I'm going to come over here to this large ribbon over here. Up there it is. So I select the type tool. Okay, it even shows you what it looks like and where it is. It says click on the blue ribbon. So I'm going to click on it and type Happy Grandparents Day. And then it tells me to click the commit button. Well, that's up here. There it is. It even shows me. Okay. Then it says click at the sentence. Okay, so I'm going to click at it. And it says right click and select all. And it says right click again, because that's where the function is. Select an item there and then click commit. Okay, things look a little different there. I'm making some improvements. And then it says go to the file menu and click save. Okay, so I've done exactly what it's told me to do. And do you see here, I'm going to expand this if you will. Do you see my instruction screen? Some are visual indicators that are static, but there are times that the student really kind of needs to see it. Maybe reading isn't their strength, and you kind of see how that works. To click, so can someone verify me that I'm still live and you're hearing me? Because it sounded like I lost the call. Am I good? Okay, I'm seeing people shake heads, so I'm going to keep going. Thank you. I don't know what that click was. Okay, so you see the visual indicator component to it. So now I'm going to hit submit. I'm submitting this exercise to be graded. Let me scroll this over here. And then now I hit submit. I now need to hit finish. The reason for the submit to the finish is because this is question 1 of 1. If it was question 1 of 3, then submit would take me to 2 of 3. Submit again would take me to 3 of 3, and then I finish. When you're finished with that exercise, the student gets immediate feedback. There it is. Hey, everybody celebrate with me. I got it right. Hey, Keith. Now, however, thank you. I saw that. However, what if I didn't get it right? What if I got it wrong? We have an awesome tool called, thank y'all, Show Me. Y'all are such an interactive group. I love y'all. And we come in here and we have the ability to go through a Show Me video, and the system will literally, video specific, you notice how I'm expanding my screen to get it a little bit larger, video specific, it will show them how to do the exercise. That's going to be critical for visual learners. You understand? I know you do. Visual learners will benefit from that greatly. Okay. Now, because I'm on limited time, and I know that Raul and them are going to interrupt me if I start running short or start running long, actually. But I wanted to kind of show you a particular component here. And so I'm going to switch screens. Let me see here if I can get Microsoft to stop putting news up on my screen. Thank you, Microsoft. Okay, so I've dragged a screen over, and it is committed. Microsoft is very committed to showing me news today, clearly. Okay, so I'm going to need the head nod. Everybody see the Jasperactive? What is Jasperactive screen? Okay, anytime I do a demonstration, it scares me when I move from one screen to another sometimes. Way to go, Microsoft Teams today. All right, so I'm going to go into Microsoft, and I'm going to log in. Now I'm talking to the educators on the session today. Okay, I'm going to log in as an educator. I have an account, and I'm going to give you at least a taste today of what it might look like for an educator to log into Jasperactive and to actually set up their course, set up their class, and get things going. That's part of the product, just a taste of what the student experiences and some of the functionality available to them. Okay, so I'm going to come down here to my teacher panel. Now, this is our teacher panel. This is where teachers go to set up their courses. And so everything works around a group. This is just terminology, okay? You may call it something else, but we call it groups. Group keys is our student course activation code, Okay. And you have the ability to import student records into our software as opposed to the students individually setting their own user accounts up. You, the teacher, before the students even walk into your class, you can have everything set up. You can set your class groups up and have the class codes ready to distribute. You can then import your students, and when you import your students, you can go ahead and plug those codes in, and guess what? They're all set up. They're ready to go. Okay? And in addition to that, we have download teacher resources. If you don't know, if you were to make a purchase of this product, it comes with your purchase resources to help you deliver or to facilitate the learning with the students. So let me give you a taste. As a teacher, I'm going to come in here, or an instructor, and I'm going to hit add new group. And guys, this is pretty straightforward. I'm going to come in here, and this is my adult class session 1. Okay, so I'm a workforce development organization, maybe. I'm going to come in here and choose my license. I'm going to give it a start date. When do I want this course for this group to begin? When do I want this course for this group to end? Give it a start and finish date. These are all modifiable fields, by the way. I might give it a description right here, and entering the workforce professional development. Hey, I can still tap. There we go. All right, and then I'm going to come down here and choose Adobe. Okay, and when I do that, I hit save, and guess what our software does? It produces an automatic code that you're then going to give to that student or those students, and that's what's going to give them access into the software. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy to use. Import students is simply clicking it, and then you go in and we actually give you the template to just go fill data with. Fill in these fields, choose the file, import, and the students are in. It really is that straightforward. Download teacher resources. I just kind of want to give you a taste of what you would have available to you for you visual learners. We are adding to this, but our software, as you see here, we push all the student coursework out as they're pushing buttons and as they're moving along with their lesson learning. But we give you, the educator, if you want to see it yourself, we give you, the educator, the student files. You can actually take a look at the files that our software is loading and what they look like structurally and instructionally. We give you a mapping of our data, okay? A course outline if you need to publish that. And for all those quizzes the students are taking, we give you an answer key. Okay, so I just kind of wanted to give you a feel for what that looks like there. Now, let me give you a little bit of a teaser here if I can. We have something coming. We're talking like any day now. I really wanted it today, but we're going to get it. I promise you it's any day now. We have something really cool coming. Drum roll, please. And it's integrating the awesome tool called Microsoft Immersive Reader into the Jasperactive Adobe Create learning system. What does that mean? That means when that integration goes live soon, your student learners will have the ability to have the content on the screen read to them. Stop and just let that soak in from an accommodation standpoint, from an accessibility standpoint, and so forth. And so I was just going to kind of give you a taste of that a little bit here, because it is live in one of our applications. If you'll bear with me, I'm going to go into our Moss application that is an online application. And this will give you a little taste on what that looks like as well. But I'm going to go into Microsoft Word, and I'm going to go into Benchmark. I have the ability, if you don't know, because I'm in my web browser, I have the ability to highlight text, right click, and say, help me read this. And Microsoft is so amazing. Watch what I do. It comes up, and then I might hit play. Instruct. Now I'm going to stop. That's awesome in and of itself. Notice I've got some purple in here, but that's just simply because I told it that I want it to turn on the nouns and make them purple. verbs, adjectives, adverbs. I can choose different colors and I can turn them on and off as I wish. But here's where it gets really cool. You ready for this? Raul will love this. Raul, I hope you're sitting down. Spanish Mexico. I'm going to hit the document button. Notice what it did on screen, and I hit play.
We cannot hear, by the way.
Raul, do you have any idea what that just said? Because I don't. I have no clue what that just said. And
We
if I had
cannot
more
hear it,
time,
so
Ray, I promise I would put French on here if I had more time, but I'm going to move on, and we could just unmute Ray and let him speak to us in French and read this and everything. But I just kind of wanted to give you a taste for the Immersive Reader and how amazing of an accessibility and a learning tool that is. And then give you just that. Now, from a report standpoint, we'll continue to add to these and improve upon these and everything, but you have various reporting that's available to you as an instructor, as an educator, professor, and so forth. Okay? All right. So just wanted to touch on that. I'm going to kind of move this back off of my screen. There we go. And I'm coming back into the Adobe Photoshop product. I'm kind of a summary kind of guy, but if you will, before we move into any extensive Q&A and so forth, and I see that some of my colleagues are addressing some of that already live as I'm going along. Hope I'm not missing anything too critical. But as we come along this, just kind of touch on a summary. The software provides you auto grading. We will grade the benchmark. We will grade all lesson exercises, top to bottom. And if I go back to the dashboard here, I need to touch on one specific thing as well. In addition to the Immersive Reader component that is forthcoming any day now, I talked to you about our prescriptive learning pathway, and here's our pathway. There is a piece missing that I have been told is also coming probably within the next 30 days or so. So certainly before anyone were to get this product and actually even need this item, it will be released is the key here. But when a student completes their benchmark and they complete their lessons they've learned, they probably should be ready to now at least demonstrate that they can pass a certification exam. Okay, now they'll do that through our summary assessment. But right above summary assessment will be a new box soon, and it will be called Create or Create Project. Educators, celebrate. We are going to add into the product a project, not guided instruction, show me project. So students, it's as someone that comes from the classroom, I will tell you, it is one thing for a student to read an instruction and to follow that instruction and to do it. And a lot of people can do that. But can they retain what they've learned? Can they apply what they've learned? Can they demonstrate content mastery? There's our educator terminology, right? The Create project is going to then affirm those extra elements of learning. Here's a project. We've given you the project scope. We've even given you a checklist of your rubric-like items, if you will, your tasks that you must complete, but we're not going to tell you how to do it. Open up a blank Photoshop document and get busy. Do this, do this, do this, do this, apply what you've learned, and then submit. Here's the great part. Then submit your final product, drag and drop it into Jasperactive, and guess what we're going to do? Everyone knows? Grade it. We're going to grade it. So it's pretty awesome. So there is a new element that is forthcoming and it will be out soon. The Show Me tool is probably my favorite feature as an educator in this tool, and that is the ability to help our visual learners. There are just a lot of people that struggle with written instruction, and the visual learning component is going to help them tremendously. I'm so excited that that made it into this product. Windows Mac, I'm so glad that this is not just a Windows product. We talked about the extensive use of the graphics and also keeping the learning curriculum within small chunks. So I just wanted to touch on those bases. I have no idea where we are on time and whether I'm running long or anything, but I am going to pause because I want to ask if Raul or Sunday or maybe my colleague Kathy or anything, do you feel that we have any questions that have come in that need to be addressed now? Or if there's any questions with regards to maybe something you feel like I haven't covered that you're wondering about, I'm open to that. Raul, are we at that point right there?
I believe so, yes.
And maybe I'm early, maybe I'm late. I don't know.
The only question that came up that we did address in the chat was that I'm not sure if you shared your sound through Teams, and so they couldn't hear the voice in Immersive Reader, but rest assured you will hear the voice in Immersive Reader. And the only other caveat to that that I would add is that if you're using Google Chrome, it is an extension. And when you go to add the extension for Immersive Reader, it will tell you that it's not supported by Microsoft. That only means that it did not come from Microsoft. It does work with the program, and it is a beautiful extension for Chrome. If you're using Edge, it's already incorporated in the Edge browser.
Yeah, thank you, Kathy, for that. And Kathy is also a educator and can run circles about me. I'm on a level 3, she's on a level 10, just to give you a perspective there. But it's interesting. So I know better. I know better. When I launched my meeting today, I know to always check this box for turning audio on. Apparently, I did not do that. I heard the Immersive Reader. I apologize. It sounds like you did not on your end. So thank you for forgiving me. It does work awesome. We also have, if you were to move forward with this and you need it, we have step-by-step instructions on how to add the Immersive Reader component within your Google Chrome browser. We've already written it out, so you don't have to go figure it out on your own. We've even created a short video that shows you what I showed you today. So there's even a video tutorial if you needed access to that and you wanted to show it to your students, then that capability is there as well. And the only thing I didn't hear from Kathy that I think she alluded to, though, is the Edge browser is a Microsoft browser. So what I showed you is already built into that browser. The extension has to be added to the Google Chrome browser. Awesome. So, Raul, I'm going to steal a minute here if I can. Do I have a couple minutes to steal?
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely, yes.
Thank y'all. If you don't mind, I'm going to go dangerous here. This is not necessarily Jasperactive, but it's certainly something that will help the learning process. And I noticed that was built into the Adobe product. As I want to applaud the Adobe people for thinking about this, just helping educators. There's this nice little button over here. It looks kind of like a magnifying glass. And if you click it, it will help you find anything in Adobe that you need. And so from an educator standpoint, when students are first getting going with this, they could easily get overwhelmed by this really multi-button ribbon over here. But guess what? They can use this search feature and find where things are, what things are, etc. But also I noticed that you can come in here and you can do things like just type a keyword search. And then let's say I go in here to layers panel, then guess what it just did? It just opened up my layers panel. It just does things for you. It walks you through it. It's an awesome learning tool that's actually built into the Adobe product that I think complements our system as well, because we're giving you instructions telling you to do these things. And we've given you all the visuals we think are necessary, but maybe an additional supplement is necessary sometime. And so those tools are available to you. The last thing I'm going to mention here, and we'll go back in any Q&A that might be available, is in the summary assessment. I didn't hit on this too much, but I wanted to, let me click both and show you again. But if I click benchmark, I think I told you could view the result, and I showed you mine, all the red X's. You saw that? I know you remember that. But if I go to summary assessment, I'm like, wait a minute, that had a green check mark. Why don't I have view result here? That's because the summary assessment is getting them ready for the certification exam or demonstrating that they're ready. It can actually be done multiple times. And we will take their highest grade based on that. And I think that's a really awesome creative design in the system, at least from an educator's perspective. And that is, it may take a student 2 or 3, possibly 4 times. That's where the educator really has to step up and help them with their remediation and filling in those gaps of weaknesses and everything. You don't want them to do it too many times, but you can do that summary assessment multiple times and demonstrate growth and content mastery each time. Those things are very important to those that are providing education to student learners. So I'm looking here real quick. Now I don't think I noted this, so I'm just going to go to it. I referenced that when you go into a lesson, they start with quizzes. What I did not say, and this will just be important for some educators to hear this and to see this, is that at any point in time during learning, if they need to go back and view their quiz results, we've built that into the application. But also, and I had this recently, I had a teacher call me up and say, I love your prescriptive learning pathway, but I want all of my students doing all of the coursework top to bottom, not just what your software said they need to do because they've showed proficiency in other areas. And guess what? We have the ability for you as the teacher to instruct the student to click activate all, and it will disregard their benchmark result and their quiz results, and it'll activate all lessons. So we thought that through as well. A lot of these features, a lot of these functions that you're seeing come to us by way of teacher feedback. And that's just one example right there. So we do try to be good listeners, and so much so that we've even added this very large button out here. I mean, it just kind of, I think it gives you kind of an aspect of where our thinking is. We value feedback. The product is going to grow based on your feedback, and we are good listeners in that area.